incident that you experienced a couple of years ago when you arrived to the trailer and you assisted a couple officers, and take us through the events of that day from your perspective.
Yeah, it's a call went out. It's code 5000. Officer needs help. It was two female officers. I'm not sure why they were there, but they need to back up. So, you know, get there as fast as I can. I see both female officers outside the trailer, and I make entry, and I see like three or four deputies fighting with this guy. Uh, he was strong. Got down there to try to control his upper body, his arms. We was going to try to get him cuffed. Uh, he a couple times he turned his head and tried to bite me. So some force was used a few times, try to control him. Uh, so during that whole incident, we were holding him, and you could just feel the life of just disappear out of his body. Like he just went limp while we was holding him.
How many
Knew that
people
was
were holding them?
one, two, three, four. One
Four
on each
people.
extremity.
And what was the original call for? I know you came to assist two officers who were already there, but what was the original call? Do you know?
I think the two female officers were trying to do an eviction,
Oh,
and
okay.
he turned on them, pulled a knife, uh, and just went south from there.
Got you.
Uh,
So you show up and you guys got four guys on them, or you and another guy and two women.
no, the two women were outside. They were pulled outside, and responding officers were trying to deal with this individual.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, I had his left arm. Another deputy was on his right, and then we had his legs. Trying to, like I said, he was hyped up strong,
Hmm.
and so like I said, force was used, and like I said, you could just feel him go limp. Like holding him, you could just feel like the tension just go away.
What were
We
your as you feel you're holding him and you feel him just drain like that? What are your immediate thoughts and feelings as you feel the life just draining from him?
it's a it's a it's something I've never felt before. First of all, you just could feel the life, leaving his body. Uh, I knew we had a problem at that point, a much bigger problem. Uh, so we had paramedics or fire department was already on scene. Got him cuffed just in case, and they started working on him. They took control of him at that point, and yeah, he was deceased. He died on the scene. So
Wow.
that which
So
led to go ahead.
um I was just gonna say, what happened? What happened next?
Because I was the only one that used any kind of force. Uh, obviously, an investigation was started because he died in our custody. Essentially,
Mhm.
uh, I got singled out because I used force. Um, had to go internal affairs, lots of meetings, lots of questioning.
What what how were you holding him? Like what kind of force was
Well,
used?
I had one hand on top of his shoulder, trying to push down and trying to control his wrist. Uh, at one point, we was just going to hold him for as long as we could, and hopefully he would give in and let us cuff him. But
And he tried to bite you a couple times too.
yeah, he tried to bite me twice, two or three times actually.
And what are you thinking when a guy's trying to bite you? You got four guys on him and he's just not giving up.
It's you have a problem. There's a serious issue at this point because he's not listening to no commands. He's strong as a bull, and now he's trying to bite me. So it's 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 uh,
Are most people on drugs who are have four guys on them and they're still trying to bite and fight?
I mean, you could tell he was on something. He was amped up, definitely on some kind of narcotics or something of that nature. Because,
Hmm.
like I said, he was almost growling, foaming, like just a mad dog.
Yeah.
uh,
Is there any training that gets you prepared for something like that?
Not that I've been through. No, I mean we train to restrain people, try to get them in cuffs, but we've never had training where if an individual is that that level of just don't care.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
but yeah, it's
Do you think there's any training that could be implemented that could help prepare officers for situations like that?
absolutely.
Yeah.
We could use that incident right there, take it to the training division, and work with it. But it hasn't been done yet, which that's on another level. So, but
In
yeah,
what ways do you think that incident could be used? Like how would you train other people using that incident?
absolutely. Just we could get an instructor to mimic what he did. Just non-compliant. Uh, just I mean, we train to restrain and cuff and the but not at that level of somebody that just is not going to listen, doesn't care, amped up on drugs. So if we could get somebody to mimic that, to put the officers through it,
That
so they can
that's
see what the potential of what they could have to deal with.
that's got to be really terrifying in the moment because I would imagine not only are you in fear for your own physical safety in the moment, but do you ever wonder about in that moment, if something happens to the guy while he's in custody, your life is also in danger in that regard?
Oh, absolutely. Every time. I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, we're responsible for them, uh,
Yeah.
but more responsible for ourselves that we get home first.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
so it's a fine line to do the job to make sure you go home, but also make sure that they're safe.
Were you fairly certain? Did you know that he had passed away, or did you think that there was a chance that he could be revived?
And you could tell on the scene, like
You
when
knew.
yeah, when I was holding him, you could actually just feel the life leave his body. Uh, and then when the paramedics came in and started working on him, you just knew it was over.
And what are you thinking in that moment?
I knew there was going to be a lot of investigation, a lot of interviews, uh, a lot of paperwork. So,
Hmm. Hmm. So, and there was an investigation, correct?
yes, sir. And I took the brunt of it. uh,
Hmm.
but I mean, obviously, there's going to be an investigation because there was a death.
Hmm.
But because I used force, I was singled out. I was sent home on admin leave. A lot of like I said, a lot of interviews, a lot of one-on-ones. Um, but ultimately, the autopsy came back after about I don't know 4 or 6 weeks. It seemed like forever. I was home thinking every day, I'm gonna go to prison. I'm gonna lose my job. But the autopsy came out and it concluded that his heart had exploded from all the drugs that was inside him and from fighting us.
Hmm.
So it was a self-induced death.
It's almost like a combination of drugs plus the almost like the excitement of the moment is too much for someone's heart to handle.
Absolutely.
Did they
And
say what kind of drugs were in his system?
no, but at the house we found marijuana, cocaine, meth. There was
Oh,
like a plethora of drugs there,
yeah.
and his father was actually there and told us that he was, you know, a lifelong drug abuser. So
Hmm. Hmm. And I know that fentanyl is a big problem these days. Apparently, people can take a very small amount of that and it gives you a heart attack quite easily.
yes, sir. We've actually got to the point where we carry Narcan
Hmm.
in our cars, and some of us carry it on our duty belts. I've actually had to use Narcan twice out on the street.
How's
Uh,
that work? Is that like Pulp Fiction where they got to stab you with a needle, or how's that work?
Actually, it's like a nose spray. You
Uh
just
huh.
pump it up their nose, both nostrils, It's insane how it works. I mean, the
I,
first
I
time I had to use it, go ahead.
I was gonna say, have you seen people like come back from death using that?
I've had to use it twice. Yes,
Yeah,
like
you were gonna say about the first time you use it. Tell me about that a
I
little bit.
was actually just got off work, and I stopped at Walgreens for whatever reason, and somebody came up to me and was like, "Hey, there's a lady over in this car. I don't think she's alive." And so I went over to her, and she was in the passenger seat, just out, completely out. Tried to shake her a few times, nothing. Did a sternum rub really hard, and still nothing. She had the driver was with her, and I asked him. I said, "Has she been using drugs?" And he was hesitant at first, but finally he told me yes.
Hmm.
Went to back to my car, got the Narcan. I'd already called it in to the fire department. Uh, did her both nostrils. Like almost immediately, she came back to life, but didn't know where she was at. Denied being on drugs. Uh, like she just had completely forgot about the last, 10, 15 minutes. But
Hmm.
I brought her right back to life, and I've done
That's
that
so
twice.
weird.
Yeah,
What's in that stuff that you can spray it up someone's nose and they come back from the dead?
I have no idea.
Don't know.
I couldn't tell you, but it definitely works 100%.
I'm glad that you guys have that in your toolkit, but simultaneously a little bit sad that it's needed in your toolkit.
Oh, absolutely. It shouldn't be, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it is.
How long have you been a police officer, by the way?
Sheriff's deputy.
A sheriff's deputy.
That that's let's see, going on 26 years.
Oh wow, thanks for your
Yes,
service. So
thank
for
you.
those listening who don't know, what's the difference between a regular police officer and a sheriff's deputy?
Police is city, sheriff is county, and we also cover the jails.
Got you. Got you.
So,
26 years. Do you have what kind of training regimen are you doing to keep in shape?
uh, I used to do like working out. I used to do the whole sets and reps.
Hmm.
And then several years ago, I joined a Main Street strength and conditioning gym, which is functional training, box jumps, tire flips, uh, stuff more to get me geared for my job. Uh,
Hmm.
and then I do martial arts. I've been doing martial arts for about 23 years on and off. But
Yeah.
yeah, but
So
definitely.
in 26 years on the job, do you get a lot of people resisting and fighting back and being violent towards you?
Actually, I'm injured right now.
Hmm.
uh, Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, one of my guys was trying to restrain somebody, put up a fight, and I went over to assist, and I put him in a headlock, and took him to the ground because in my head, because he was strong, he was short, stocky, and in my head it's like I don't want him to start swinging, so I'll take him to the ground. We'll work from there. Took him to the ground, and as we was going to the ground, me and him, we hit the wall, and I had him like in a side control headlock, and I felt a lot of pressure in my shoulder as I was squeezing, and in my head, I thought, "This guy's trying to hurt me." So I started doing it even harder to put him to sleep. But what it was my pectoral tendon was ripping from the bone.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we got him in cuffs, and I sat there for a few minutes, and I knew something was wrong. There was a problem. I had an issue. Uh, the next day, I went to the doctor, and on my whole chest, all the way down my arm was black and blue.
Oh
But
wow.
yeah, I yeah, I'd ripped the pectoral tendon, ripped it completely from the bone, and tore my rotator cuff.
Oh my God. So when was that?
Um, just this past May 5th.
That was just a few months ago.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo, and I've had surgery, and right now I'm going through therapy trying to get back to full duty.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're on like part time right now?
Yeah, I'm on light duty. They put me on a desk.
Got you. Got you. So, what year, backing up a little bit, what year was the incident that we began speaking about?
Oh, that was at least 10 years ago.
Okay, so that was long ago. So,
Yeah,
and the public sort of climate was a little bit different 10 years ago.
no,
You know, and
absolutely.
in probably if this had happened in the last couple years, it could have been even more challenging for you to get
Oh,
through that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, I'm curious, what's it like going through an investigation like that, knowing that your actions are going to be closely scrutinized?
It's it's horrifying to be honest with you. I mean, I sat at home just in a very dark place for several weeks trying to figure out, like I said, am I going to go to jail, or, am I going to lose my job? What's my family going to do? Uh, it was a, it was a dark time trying
And
to, and
you
so,
you have a family too, correct?
well, I'm recently divorced, but yes, I have a 15-year-old son, uh, who's my life.
Yeah. So about 10 years ago, that must have been maybe your son was unaware of what was going on, or
No,
was it
he didn't
really,
have a clue. Yeah.
but was it
He,
really challenging, like on the family generally?
oh yeah. I mean, yeah, because I took it hard. Like I said, I was more worried about them. Who's going to provide. What's going to happen, especially if I lose my job. Uh, but yeah, it was a lot of dark days, a lot of staring out the window, trying to just wait
How
for.
how
Go ahead.
long did the investigation process take?
I want to say close to a month. Yeah,
And was
close to
there a
2 months.
trial as well, or is it just an
No,
investigation?
no, it was just an investigation. I mean, obviously, if they came back and found out my use of force is what, you know, but it wasn't. Luckily,
Yeah. It
they
was
didn't.
it was the drugs.
It was the drugs.
If that
It
guy
was.
had been totally sober, you would have held him down by the arm, put him in cuffs, he would have been totally fine.
Oh, it would have been a different story altogether.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think that the system, like the investigation, the investigators, you would say that all that worked as it was supposed to?
Oh yeah, 100%. It was fair. They were doing what they were supposed to do. Uh,
Hmm.
they did their job, and uh, it's just a process. Um, but yeah, it was 100% fair, and I don't regret anything I did, and I'm glad it turned out the way it did.
Hmm. Do you think that the incident affected like how you approach the way you do your job or the outlook that you have on your job?
No, because if I mean if it if it made me more hesitant to do my job, then I'm more of a liability than an asset. Uh,
Hmm.
so I continue doing what I do.
Yeah,
Just
that's good. You just have to keep doing the
yeah,
job, and you did everything according to the training, and this is just the sad part of the reality sometimes.
absolutely.
Anytime anybody loses their life, it's very sad, and we want people to live no matter what, but this is part of the challenge of that line of work.
Yeah, sure.
Um, how do you handle being in a profession that's sometimes viewed with so much distrust, especially now? Do you have any thoughts about that, or advice for maybe people who are newer to the job?
Well, I will say this: for every person, single person that distrusts us, doesn't like us, there's five people that do,
Hmm.
and that's the ones I focus on. Um, the people that don't like us or whatever, they're probably the ones doing dirt anyway. They're probably doing
Hmm.
wrong. It's the reason they don't want us around. They don't trust us because of something they're doing. Uh, but for the most part, uh, as far as for me, uh, everybody appreciates what I do.
Yeah,
So
beautiful. Do you think that there's anything that the public could understand better about the complexities of situations like the one that you faced?
um, that we're all human. Like nobody's perfect. Uh, we do our job to our level of training. Uh, we are compassionate, but at the same time, there's a job to do. And ultimately, we're human just like everybody else. I mean, we're not Superman. by no means. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean,
I think sometimes people forget that, that we're all human beings here.
yeah, I mean, we wake up in the morning just like everybody else, put our clothes on like everybody else, have families. Uh, Ultimately, I mean, that's what it is. We're just human trying to do Superman's job. So
Mhm. Do you think there's any like changes or reforms in policing that could help prevent more incidents like this from happening in the future?
no, I mean, there. Bottom line, there's really nothing you can do for somebody that's that amped up. That's
Mhm.
there's there's no policy, there's no procedure um, that can be put in place to handle somebody like that. I mean, there's black and white, then there's the gray area, and sometimes that's where we have to work.
Mhm.
So no, I don't think there's any kind of anything that can be done about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you didn't let that incident define you or ruin your career and you kept going. So I'm happy that you
Absolutely,
did that.
yeah, yeah. It's a like I said for that month though, it was a long month. It felt like more like 6 months, but when I returned, I was still me.
Mhm. So what else has been going on the last couple of years? It's been a challenging couple of years, right?
Slightly, yeah. 2020 it started 2020. Uh, Nashville had a tornado come through, ripped the city apart. We started on 12, 18-hour days. Shortly after that, the riots broke out, where they tried to burn Nashville down. We're still on 12, 18-hour days. And then right after that, COVID hit. This is all like in 3 months. All this is
Like January, February, March of 2020.
yeah. It was and then like I said, COVID broke out. So we've been working 3 months, 18-hour days, no days off. Um, and then somewhere in there, actually March 18th, um, my birthday, I volunteered. We was working the COVID test sites. My team was.
Hmm.
So I volunteered to go the night shift because the other two team leaders had something going on with their family. So I volunteered. So we was working that, and shortly after that, I caught COVID. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
Man, it hit me hard. Um, I was feeling bad like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Still try to go to work Monday, uh, and then that's when I found out, I had COVID. I was in bed for probably 2 weeks, solid, like hurting my whole body. The core hurt.
Hmm.
Um, but I'd already paid for a trip for my family to go to Florida. Everything was paid for. So, they had that like the 10-day, 2 weeks, whatever. You couldn't be around nobody.
Hmm.
Well, it just so happened that my time was up right when we were supposed to go to Florida. So we went. um, we had rented a pontoon boat, and being in the Navy, I love the water. So we was out a little ways, and I jumped in, and I could feel my chest just like almost collapse. My son had jumped in also, and so swam over to him, put him on the edge of the boat. My father-in-law pulled him up. I didn't have the strength to get back in the boat. Like I was wiped out completely.
Whoa.
I had to walk myself around to the back of the boat, use the ladder to get in. I just laid there. Nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody. Um, Came home, got checked out, and my doctor had told me that my right lung sounded like an 80-year-old man had been smoking his whole life. He said that
Whoa.
I wasn't getting any air in my right lung.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that led to lung specialists, to another lung specialist, to a third one. And after about 3 months of going to lung specialists, they sent me to Vanderbilt. And a surgeon, uh, he told me I should have had surgery 3 months ago. So they lined it up. What had happened, the way he described it was my esophagus. No, pretty much the bottom two chambers of my right lung were paralyzed.
Whoa.
So, so they cut me from my chest to my back like
Mm.
several times, uh, not to repair anything, but to keep it from getting worse.
Mm.
Uh, I went in. Let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
20, 26 years ago, when I joined the sheriff's department, I had to go through a psych eval to carry a weapon. So went to Vanderbilt, talking to the psychiatrist. We talked for like an hour. He's at his desk. I'm on the couch. Um, talked for about an hour, and he just stares at me for like a minute, 2 minutes, awkward. So I'm thinking in my head, this is where he tells me I'm not going to carry a gun. So uh, he looks at me. He's like, "You are the most unemotional person I've ever interviewed." He said, "But I'm going to pass you because I think you do well." So fast forward to 2020, after COVID, for whatever reason, now I'm like really emotional. Like everything bothers me. Like it not, I don't know.
Huh.
Like PTSD, I never believed in that ever my whole life. I always thought it was an excuse. I thought people used it for a crutch, um, like just to get out of doing life. But kind of believe in it now. Uh, but anyway, had an interview with a doctor, the surgeon, and he's telling me where he's going to cut me and how long it's going to be, and he said, "You got any questions?" I was like, "Yeah." What's the recovery time? He's like, "What do you mean for what?" I said, "Before I could do what I used to do." And he's like, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, CrossFit, martial arts, sheriff's department, SRT." And his exact words was, "You'll never do what you did, and you'll never be who you were after this surgery."
Damn.
Yeah, that's what I said. So we're leaving the hospital, and my wife at the time, she's like, "You okay? You're quiet." And I was like, "Can I say exactly what I told her?"
Yeah.
uh, I said, "That motherfucker don't know who he's talking to." But to
Nice.
me, it was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So in the hospital, it was supposed to be a 3-hour surgery, 3 days in the hospital. It turned into a 7-hour surgery and 7 or 8 days in the hospital. Once
Whoa.
they got in there, they figured out it was a lot worse than they thought. On the third day, third or fourth day, they pulled the drainage tube out, um, which was fine. So I'm sitting in the hospital bed, and I start feeling a lot of pain in my chest. And my ex-wife was with me at the time, and I told her, I said, "Something's not right." And it felt like I told her, I said, "It feels like somebody just stuck a butcher knife in my chest and it's sticking out my back."
Oh shit.
Uh, so I thought, well, hell, I'll just walk it off. So I called the nurse and I said, "Hey, I need to go. I want to go for a walk." I thought it was normal. I thought maybe I'm supposed to feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
So we go for a walk, and I'd already been doing laps around the nurse's station, but this time I wasn't making it. And she was like, she asked me, she said, "You okay?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Well, you're scaring me. Let's get back to the bed." So we get back to the bed. She orders an emergency x-ray. They come in, x-ray me. 20 minutes later, a nurse comes in. She's like, "I hate to tell you this, but your right lung is completely collapsed. We have to do another procedure on you." And she's like, "We're going to stick a steel rod through your chest cavity to inflate it." And I looked down at my chest. I'm like, "You can put me to sleep, right?" Like, she's like, "No, we don't have time for that." I'm like, "Oh Lord, it's gonna be great."
Oh
So
God.
she said, "We're going to give you some shots around the injection site." And so I'm sitting there, and they're doing it, and they didn't give me enough pain medication. Like they just like numb the site.
Mm-hmm.
So as they're doing it, I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking at a blue wall, and I feel like I'm dying, literally. It's because I could feel it going through my body. I could feel, and like if you get the breath knocked out of you, it's like mine was pushing out. Like I couldn't get my breath.
Mm,
And I'm thinking to myself, you know, I didn't get to tell my family bye, you know. And
shit.
and then when they when they inflated it, it was like nobody told me what it was gonna feel like. But it was tough. Uh
Was it painful?
yeah, absolutely. Like the
Oh,
whole
shit.
like I remember at one point I was grabbing my hair trying to, keep still and I had my feet dug into the bed while they did this. And like I said, it was like a 3-hour procedure. And as it was going on, they gave me more medicine.
Hmm.
As it was a little too late. But yeah, they finally got it reinflated. And
What's
so
that feel like when they reinflate that?
like I said, it was fast. Like it it inflated really fast. Like I said, if you get the air knocked out of you, it's like but this was like a pushing out. Like it was a it's hard to describe.
But it
But
hurts.
it hurt. Yeah, it definitely hurt.
Like on the inside, like you feel it like in your heart or
Oh,
something.
I could feel the rod going through my body. It was
Oh
yeah,
God. Oh,
yeah,
oh.
it was like I said, I was awake for the whole thing. It was pretty devastating. Like
Holy
I said, I was
shit.
looking at this blue wall thinking, why ain't they getting more help? Why am I not in the emergency room?
That's
Uh,
crazy too that you
it's
thought like, oh shit, I didn't get to tell anyone bye.
yeah.
Like you really it was so bad that you were like, I might fucking die right now.
I thought this is it.
Oh
It,
fuck.
it was devastating. But at the end of that, they had given me so much medicine toward the end
Like
that when it was
morphine
over,
or something?
no, not morphine. I'm allergic to that. I don't know what they gave me, but
Some
by
kind
the
of
time it was,
painkiller though, right?
yes, like
Yeah.
yeah, it's by the time it was over, I was high, like really high. And my brother had come in by that time. He they made him stay outside for the procedure, but he came in and I was like loopy high. And
Hmm.
he was with me and we were laughing and whatever else. And he stops. He's like, when this medicine wears off, you're gonna hate life. And I thought, what? About 3 hours later, I was hating life. The
You're just like
medicine
in
wore,
pain.
yeah, the medicine wore off, and it was like I said, it was just like being in the procedure again.
Oh
So
fuck,
yeah,
man.
it was
That's crazy how COVID like can really fuck some people up and just like devastate your internal organs. And then some
yeah,
people are like, yeah, I beat it in like a few days.
yeah, I had a cold. But I did
Yeah.
have two of the lung specialists told me back then I was in really good shape. I had two lung specialists tell me that if I wasn't in the shape I was in, and my surgeon told me this too, that it would have killed me. So
Did what causes it to be so rough on the lungs that way? Like, do they know why it was so hard on you, but some people not that hard?
the only thing I could figure is, like I said, 3 months leading up to that, I was working 18-hour days, no days off. I'm
Yeah,
thinking my
okay.
body was just really run down.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense. That
yeah,
makes sense. Your body just if you're really exhausted, your body doesn't have as much
yeah,
energy to just work on the immune system stuff. So that makes sense. If you're out in the field 18 hours a day, and not to mention if you're at the COVID test sites. I mean,
yeah,
I'm not a scientist, but I'm like my mind is like there's some fucked up like it's worse if you're like you got like a worse version because you got it like on Skid Row, you know?
yeah, exactly. I was right in the thick of it. But like I
Yeah,
said, the only thing I could think of is my body was just so run down from the 3 months before that.
that makes
That hit
sense.
me really hard.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I'm glad you beat it. Do you find, have you had any of those symptoms like some people talk about long COVID, or do you feel like
Yes,
you're done? Or no,
100%.
it's stuck with you or
100%. Like, so first of all, I returned back to work about 5 months after surgery.
Mhm.
After said I wouldn't, but 6, 7 months into it, I could. Um, I was still lethargic, tired, uh,
Mhm.
memory loss. Uh,
Like
but they gave me
brain
some meds.
fog?
Yes, 100%. But
Mhm.
eventually that went away. But that lasted quite a bit. So, but eventually it's all went away.
man.
So,
And so then you're back on the job. Um, and
actually, while I'm going through therapy to get back to work, my dad had a stroke.
oh
Uh,
shit.
so that was hard.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. So what happened? You're in therapy, you're in physical therapy,
Yeah,
and then your dad has a stroke. So what happens with that?
yeah. He actually somewhat, it wasn't it wasn't terrible. Well, yeah, it was terrible. He was bedridden for the most part.
Mhm.
So at that point, I have to start. Me and my brother take turns living with my parents to help take care of my dad.
Mhm.
So I stay at my dad's. I'd return back to work, but I stayed at my parents 4 days a week, and then I worked extra jobs 3 nights a week to still take care of my family. So
Wow.
yeah, so I was gone 7 days a week for
Um,
a
m- m-
while.
my dad, this is going back many, many years. This is like 20 years ago or something. My dad had actually had a stroke like 20 years ago. And I was always very thankful that they found him very, very soon. At
Yeah,
like he had the stroke, and luckily the guy in the office next to him found him like right away. And so we were very blessed and fortunate that he had a pretty miraculous recovery.
yeah,
But how did this affect you? It sounded like you had to kind of move in and tag team with your brother to take care of your parents. Sounds like you really stepped it up.
yeah.
But how did that affect you?
It was tough. Like
Mhm.
like I said, I stayed at my parents' house 4 nights a week, and then I was working extra jobs the other 3 nights. So uh, it was hard on the family life.
Yeah.
But he's my dad. He's my mom. It's my mom. So they took care of him my whole life. So now it's our turn to take care of them.
Hmm,
So
hmm. And did he recover or?
no,
Oh man,
he
I'm so sorry.
so he July last July he passed. Um,
Sorry for your loss.
actually, that was a rough time too because July I was back to work. I was working a wreck on the interstate and got hit by a car. Um,
Whoa,
yeah, and then 2 weeks after that, my dad passed, and then like 2 or 3 weeks after that, my divorce was final. So
man, it's been a rough year.
yeah, so it's yeah, it was that was but yeah, he yeah, that was a tough time because like I said, I got hit by a car and was trying to recover from that. Then he passes, and then my divorce was final. I had to move out, leave my son. So it was
Man, condolences to your family. Were you on the job when you got hit by a car? What's the story
yes.
there?
I just pulled a double. I did my regular duty during the day shift. We had a SRT assignment, plainclothes assignment that night, and we just finished. I was going home. I was going down the interstate, and I see headlights coming at me. So I'm like, yeah, that's not right. So I get close. The car is stopped. So I turn all my emergency equipment on, get out to check, and it's a wreck. They're up against one was in the fast lane, one was against the retaining wall.
Mhm.
Uh, get out to check on them, no injuries. Uh, so I'm walking back to my car to get my traffic vest and whatever else I need. And I look up. Before I got my car, I just happened to look up, and I was about to front tire, and I see this. I mean, it's a long straightaway, probably about a mile. And I look, and everybody had got over like they were supposed to, except for one car.
Mm.
And I see it coming. I'm like, surely they're going to get over. And then the next thing is like, fuck, they're flying. And then the next thing is, I could still see the crash. I could see my car smashing. I could see her windshield. I could vividly see it.
Whoa.
I had the way we're trained is to turn our wheels into the retaining wall. That way, if we do get hit, it goes into the wall and not into traffic.
Hmm.
So, and that's what happened. It went into the retaining wall into me.
Oh
So,
shit.
yeah. So all I remember is my left hand being on the hood of the car trying to push away from it. And the next thing I know, my right elbow is on the retainer wall. Uh, I sat there for a second. I thought, trying to process. I said, all right, you're still alive. And I see cars still coming, but I hear her 4 lanes across traffic. I hear her screaming.
She's the one who hit you.
Yes, I hear her screaming. So in my head, I'm like, she needs help. I got to get to her. That's when I also realized that I'm injured. So all I have is a little flashlight. So I'm trying to flash it at traffic, trying to leapfrog, limp, trying to get to her. I get to her, and she's a mess. She's bad. I look back and I'm thinking about my trauma kit, which is in the trunk of my car that just got hit, which is 4 lanes across traffic. So I'd already called in, tell them, I need backup, I need fire department and everything. So I just talked to her, it's going to be okay. Calm down, breathe. Uh, it's going to be okay. Just trying to keep her calm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then that's when I feel somebody walks up. It's the guy from the first wreck. And I'm thinking, well, hell, the people in the first wreck have now been in a second wreck, because my car got pushed.
Yeah.
Uh, so I talked to him. I said, hey, are you good? He's like, yeah. I said, all right, do me a favor. Sit there and talk to her. So I go back across 4 lanes and asked the other lady. I said, there was a language barrier. And eventually I got that she needed an ambulance. So I called in for another one. Luckily for me, it was right at an off ramp, and the fire department was 300 yards from there.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was blessed. So
Yeah.
they come down the wrong way and block the interstate, keep cars off of us. First fireman's coming up to me. He sees me limping. He's like, "Where you hurt?" And I told him, "Don't worry about me. She's primary. She's secondary. Work on him." So go to the retaining wall, sitting there, just trying to process everything. And my car starts smoking. I'm thinking, what's next? And the fireman comes over. He says, "Hey, your car's fixing to catch on fire. If there's anything in there you need, so let's get it out." The trunk was smashed, so we're on SRT. I have a lot of equipment, so we went over and we got everything we could out of the back seat. But with them being there, they put it out really fast. I didn't look. I lost some equipment, but not what it could have been. But so the police get there, city police, and he comes over to me. He's like, "Hey, we need to lock down this scene. This could be a fatality. Like she could die."
Oh,
So
shit.
yeah, so I'm thinking, well, great. I mean, uh, what's next? So I call my chain of command. I tell them what's going on, which I'd already done that, but I called them some more. Uh, and the sheriff shows up, of all people. Never thought I'd ever see that, which was good. It was reassuring. Um, I'd call my brother. I told him, I said, "Hey, I've been in an accident." I didn't tell him what kind. Didn't tell him how bad. I said, "But I need your truck out here to put all my gear in." So after a little while, the police, fire department, medics determined that she wasn't going to die, which was great.
Yeah.
Uh, it was a relief for me because, yeah. So there was going to call another ambulance. I said, "No, I'll just get my brother to take me." So we go to the hospital, and my SRT major, he shows up. He's in full uniform. I'm in plain clothes with just a badge and a gun. Uh, and this guy comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, I just want to thank you for what you do." I'm thinking to myself, why is he not, thanking my major? He's the one in uniform. I'm plain clothes. And then he says, "My wife told me if you didn't do what you did and put your car where you were, that she'd be dead right now."
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So uh, that kind of felt good. Uh,
Yeah, man. That's
but
amazing,
that
man.
was the first lady that
Yeah.
when I stopped, blocked her car with my car. Uh, but she said that she'd be dead.
Yeah. If your car wasn't there, then that
Yeah,
car would have
they,
smashed into her.
it head on. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
my God, man.
uh, so it was good. You know, it
That's
worked
amazing.
out.
What kind of what kind of injury did you sustain from that?
Uh, I tore my knee up and I had a large. Actually, what's crazy is I just went to the doctor this morning. I had surgery on my leg, uh, healed up from that, but I had a large mass on my left hip where the car hit me.
Mm.
Just went to the doctor this morning. This has been a year of uh, test and trying to figure out what they're going to do, whatever. Uh, but I'm going to get it fixed here in about 3 weeks.
What was the large mass that was caused from the accident?
It was where the car hit me. Blood,
Mhm.
like a blood
Gotcha.
contusion. Yeah, it's probably about the size of a softball on my hip. So,
Wow.
yeah. So
Man,
I've been.
you've made like a hell of a sacrifice for the people around you and for your community.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man, that's really
you know,
amazing.
this this back here, this flag is actually something that was given to me for my dad. He was a metro policeman,
Hmm.
city police, retired there. So my whole career was to be like him. So
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. I mean, you know, you're keeping it together. Most people that like get hit by a car and they've been investigated for death of someone in an arrest and losing family, you know, a lot of people would just be like laying down in a ditch and giving up. So I'm very proud and happy to see you here and you know, still serving the community. Are there any things that you do that kind of what helps keep you going? Because it sounds like you've had a lot of challenges. And so,
um,
yeah, what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated?
my son and God. Uh,
Beautiful.
about 2 years ago, I just gave it up. Gave it up to God, and now just there's three things. Everything happens for a reason. It is what it is, and it's God's plan. Uh,
You know, I agree with when you say everything happens for a reason. I agree with that. And I'm like, as you're telling these stories, I'm just like, man, like if you weren't in that location, that spot at that time,
yeah,
you know, someone could have, you know, that woman could have lost her life. And who knows, like maybe she's like going to be the mother of someone who cures cancer or, you know,
absolutely.
even if she's not, she's still someone's family, you know.
Yeah,
And
her husband
so
was appreciative, that's for sure.
yeah, exactly. Um,
But yeah, it's
so
like I said,
so basically you have some connection to a higher power and spirituality to God and also to your family,
absolutely.
to your son, and that's what keeps you going.
Yeah, I mean, it, I, I had a lieutenant. I was talking to a lieutenant one time, and he like about all this, and he was like, there's a lot of people that ate a bullet by now.
Yeah, I
uh,
agree.
and I had some dark days. Like, I learned to say what's next, what's going to, what can happen next. I learned to stop saying that. That's for sure, because something's going to happen. But yeah, about 2 years ago, I just gave it up to God and say, whatever happens, happens at this point. As long as I wake up every morning, I'm blessed, and I'll work it out as I go. So,
I love that. That's beautiful. Um, well, thank you for coming on and sharing your stories. Is there anything else that you want to share with the world? What do you want the world to know about yourself or about the job that you do as we get close to the end of this episode?
um, you know, another thing, just touching on something that keeps me going is my son. Um, like just the thought of giving up wasn't wasn't an option because
Mhm.
I wouldn't let him do that. You know what I'm saying? Uh,
Mhm.
and I just he's my why. He's why I do everything. So that's another driving factor to keep me going. So uh, I
That's
want him to be the
beautiful.
best that he can be. So I want to be the example for him. So
Yeah, yeah. How old's your son?
15.
15. Is he do you know if he has any maybe it's a little too young for this, but does he have any interest in working in law enforcement?
funny you say that. About a year ago, he said he wants to be a sheriff, and I told him, I said, you can be a fireman or you can join the military. Just I don't know. The climate today is much different than it was, while I've
Mhm.
been doing it. But it's he's we do martial arts together. We do a lot
Beautiful.
of things, a lot of hiking.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is what keeps me going. So uh,
I love that, man. It sounds like faith and family are kind of like your north stars for
oh,
keeping you going. I love having people on to share that. We have a lot of people on who have had, struggles with PTSD and those kind of things. And so I love sharing with the world, what keeps you going when things are hard.
yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I mean, I was a firm believer that I did not believe in PTSD.
Hmm.
I was 100% against it. I thought it was a crutch. I thought people used it for an excuse till I experienced it. But yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
So,
How
and
you
like I said,
feeling with it now? Do you feel like it's just a day-to-day thing? Maybe it's going to be an easy day, maybe it's going to be a hard day, like
you know,
psychologically, or is it a
you know
day-to-day
what?
thing?
I wake up every morning and I don't care what the day throws at me. I really don't,
Beautiful.
because I know I can handle it. It's a at the end of the day, I still have God and I got my son. So
You've been through a lot and you know exactly like you say, you know you can handle it. Whatever the day comes, you got this.
yeah, 100%. Like I said, it's as long as I wake up, I'm blessed. We'll work
I
it out
love
as we
that. Hey, by the way, on a lighter note, I noticed that you have some very cool tattoos. How
Yes.
long have you had the hand tattoos, and what's the kind of
Okay.
what's the rule on police officers and visible ink,
Um, actually, we don't. As long as it's not, you know, um,
like a derogatory
vulgar.
symbol?
Yeah, vulgar. Anything like that. But
Hmm.
this whole arm here is God, country, family. So,
Cool.
and then I had somebody tell me a while back. They know my story, and they use the word relentless. So that's why I got that one. So just to
Nice.
remind me. But this is my favorite. Well, my son, and this one is it's a bear paw. I got a thing for bears. Kind of like eat, sleep, keep to themselves in the woods. Don't poke the bear type stuff. But then
Hmm.
I got a baby
Hmm.
paw for my son. So
Cool. Yeah, I like that. I like the body art is very cool.
yes, sir. Like I
So
said, everything is God, country, family, warrior related. So
yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Well, I want to thank you again for coming on and sharing your story. And
I sure
yeah,
appreciate you having me. It's
I greatly appreciate the work you do, and no matter what the world throws at you, you're not giving up, and you're still being of service to your community. And I greatly respect and appreciate that.
I sure appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
So yeah, thanks for coming on the podcast, and we'll have to keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Thanks, my friend. Bye, everyone.